Hi, my name is Kamal, and today we're going to be talking about fungi and the 5 subgroups. Here are some common characteristics of fungi. They're heterotrophic, eukaryotic, multicellular organisms, and they consist of mycelia, which are networks of branched hyphae, and this is basically, they're used to adapt for absorption. And these are the 5 subgroups of fungi: ascomycetes, zygomycetes, basidiomycetes, chytrids, and glomeromycetes. Alright, let's start off with ascomycetes. They live in habitats that include marine, freshwater, and terrestrial. These fungi produce sexual spores in a sac-like asci, which is contained in a fruiting bodies called ascocarps. And here is an example of ascomycetes. They vary from unicellular yeast, which means single-celled, to cup fungi. And these fungi are plant pathogens, decomposers, symbionts, and predators. And here's another example of ascomycetes. Okay, zygomycetes. They are very diverse in the fungi group, and some are considered to be molds, commensal symbionts, and parasites. And they are named after their sexual producing spores called zygosporangia. And here is an example of zygomycetes. Zygosporangia is the key site of karyogamy, which is the fusion of the nuclei. And the main characteristic of zygomycetes is resistant to freezing and drying. And this is basically that they can survive in unfavorable conditions. And here is one of the most famous zygomycete fungi, the black bread mold. And chytrids. They live in habitats including freshwater and terrestrial. They're considered to be decomposers, parasites, and mutualists. And the key feature of chytrids is that they have flagellated spores called zoospores. And here is an example of chytrids. Chytrids. I can't really say it right. Batrachochytrium vandrobatids. Chytrids are basically one of the reasons why the amphibians worldwide declined. And yeah, basidiomycetes. This type of fungi includes mushrooms, shelf fungi, puffballs, mycorrhizae, and plant parasites. And they are defined by a club-like structure called basidium, and they're mostly decomposers. And here's an example of basidiomycetes. Glomeromycetes. These fungi form arbuscular mycorrhizae, and this is basically leaving an indentation or mold of the fungi. And now I'm going to go over here and show you the life cycle of the fungi. Okay, here we go. Life cycle of fungi. All right, they start off with mycelium, and go to plasmogamy, which is the fusion of the cytoplasm. Plasmogamy. Fusion of cytoplasm. And this goes on to the heterokaryotic stage. Which leads us to karyogamy. Karyogamy is the fusion of the nuclei. And this produces a diploid zygote. Or zygote. And this goes on to meiosis. And goes on to spores. Okay, spores lead on to germination, which leads us back to mycelium. Okay? And this is the sexual life cycle of fungi. So you have mycelium, which leads us to plasmogamy, which is a fusion of the cytoplasm, which leads us to heterokaryotic stage, which takes us to karyogamy, which is a fusion of the nuclei, which gives us a diploid zygote, which goes back to meiosis, which gives us little spores and leads to germination and goes back to mycelium. This is the general life cycle of a fungi. And this presentation was brought to you by UAH biology students.